Hey, thanks for being here. My name is Alesha, and I'm here to guide you through this gentle yoga practice for when you're having a rough day. I'm sorry to hear that you're having a rough day, and I hope that this can help. Sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I'll do something outside of myself because it can be kind of consuming to be stuck within our thoughts and our feelings. So I'll do something outside of myself, like light a candle or put on a cozy sweater and have that contact with the cozy sweater, or splash my face with some water, or sometimes I'll even put on some music. So if you find that that might help your practice today, something a little more external, feel free to pause this video, do what you need to do, and then come on back. So we'll get into practice. You might like to have a pillow, or I have a bolster. If you have one, that's fine. If you don't worry about it. This is going to be a pretty minimal practice and just something to get our blood flowing and get into feeling our body. Sometimes when we're feeling a little overwhelmed or we have a lot of thoughts, it can be nice to just feel our body here on the ground, and we'll get going in child's posture. So you might come on around to a quadruped position where you have your knees on the ground and your hands under your shoulders, and then just kind of feel it out. So you might have your pillow here, if you have a pillow handy, under your torso, and you might come down towards a puppy posture where you have your hips up really high and your knees on the ground, and you might even hug that pillow. Sometimes when I'm holding on to a prop, I'll turn my head one way, just so your face isn't smushed down into the prop. But if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Your forehead could land on your arms stacked up, or even the floor. Now, if you feel pretty good here, stay, or perhaps you come into child's where you send your hips a little farther back behind you. And sometimes it's helpful to bring the knees a little wider to make space for the torso here. And then see if you can notice the feeling of your mat or the carpet or wherever you are underneath your body. So you'll feel the texture underneath your feet. Maybe you feel parts of your shins or your knees pressing down. You might even feel your clothing touch your skin. Your forearms might be down, your palms. And then notice the weight of the head. And notice if there's any texture or feeling under your forehead or your cheek, if your cheek is turned out to the side. And then if it's available for you, see if you can notice 3 breaths. And it can be any breath at all. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be anything, just a breath. And then another. And then one more breath. When you're ready to come up, give yourself time, press into your forearms, ground down into your hands. If your knees were wide, walk them back in. And if you had a pillow or something for support, you can bring it off to the side. Now, if your wrists are tender here, you could always take your fists down rather than palms down on the ground, and we'll set up for tabletop. When you feel ready, you might even add movement here, so you can lift your hips up a little, lower your belly down, then reach your chest forward. You could even add a breath in. And then from here, tuck your hips under, round your spine, let your head be heavy, and notice a breath out. And really it doesn't matter, just breathe. If you find it a little bit tricky to move with breath right now, just breathe at your own pace and move at your own pace between cow and cat. Do that 3 more times. Inhale, reach the chest a little bit forward. Exhale, round under. Maybe your movement's a little faster or a little slower than mine, and that's fine. And then 1 more each way. From here, I'll invite you to come down to a crocodile, so you can start to walk your knees back behind you and then lower yourself down towards the floor so your belly lands. Now, if you had your head turned earlier to one side, you might choose to turn your head to the other side this time. Or if you feel more comfortable with your head centered, then stack up your hands or your forearms and land your forehead down on that support. And then notice how your foundation may have changed. So you might notice your feet down. Maybe notice different parts of your legs down. Your whole belly and front of your torso might be pressing into the floor. And parts of your arms and hands. Now, if you like, you might just notice that feeling of your body grounding down into the earth and being supported. Or if you feel comfortable following your breath, we'll follow 3 breaths here. So notice your breath in. And notice your breath go out. And 2 more, just at your own pace. Inhale, filling up throughout your body, your rib cage. You might even feel your body move here a little bit. And then soften the belly, soften your back. 1 more breath. 1 more moment. And let it go. Now, if you're feeling quite comfortable here in crocodile, you can stay exactly as you are. Or if you'd like to take a little back bend, then you can bring your palms under your shoulders. Your head could go to center with your forehead or chin down. Start to wake up your legs a little bit, so press the shoelace part of your foot into the floor. And then on your next inhale, lift your head, your chest, your shoulders a bit, and see if you can stay for the breath out. A couple more like that. It doesn't really have to be a big back bend, just enough to feel something, some muscles wake up in the back body. Stay for another moment, another breath. And then soften your way back down. Again, you might support your head here, or maybe you turn your head to one side. If you like, you might even shake your hips gently from side to side. Now you get to choose here. You can stay as you are in crocodile, or maybe you come into a second round where you bring your hands under your shoulders, wake up your legs a little bit, and then start to lift your head, your shoulders, your chest up, and you might even notice a breath in. It doesn't have to be so high, but if you feel like you want to go a little higher and lift your chest up a little more, you can. See if you can stay here for just a couple more moments, a couple more breaths. And then one more breath in. Soften all the way back down. Take a moment. You could shake your hips or just notice a breath here. Now again, you have the option to stay here in crocodile, or if you like, you can come on back up for one more time. So baby cobra, press into your hands a little, press your feet down, and then start to lift your head, your chest, your shoulders, and go to a place that feels manageable, where you can breathe. Even if you don't come up, that's fine. A couple more moments, just a couple more breaths. One more breath. And then from here, come on down, stack up your hands or your forearms under your forehead. Bend your knees, send your feet towards the ceiling. And then this time I'll invite you to come into a reverse windshield wiper so your knees can drift from side to side. If you feel like you're connecting with your breath right now, you might even follow a breath in one direction and a breath out in the other. A little swish from side to side, and just a couple more. One more each way. Once you're even in both directions, soften your feet back down. From here, you can bring your hands under your shoulders and make your way up to tabletop. You can kind of crawl yourself forward. Now you can think about how you'd like to come up. So you might walk your hands back towards your feet and come into a ragdoll shape until your feet land. Or if it feels more natural to step one foot forward towards your hands and then the other, you can go ahead. If you need a little elevation for the hands, maybe you put your hands on that pillow if you have one handy. And then we'll come into a forward fold so your feet are a little wider, like hips distance apart. If you're feeling some tension around the low back area, sometimes it's nice to, rather than dangle forward, to have your forearms on your thighs, knees bent, and hips generously flexed. So it's almost like a football huddle. You'll still get some stretch and length throughout the back body with a little more support. If you feel quite comfortable here, perhaps you allow your head and torso to dangle forward towards the floor. You might even choose to clasp opposite elbows if you're dangling forward. And if you notice there's a lot of tension around your head and neck, you might even gently shake your head no from side to side. Or if you're starting to feel this in your hips, you might bend one knee a little more generously and then the other. And kind of sway from side to side. So you get to choose here. Feeling your feet on the ground. You might notice the texture of your support here, your mat or the floor. And if you like, you might even notice just a couple more breaths. Now this time, press down into your feet and come up halfway so your hands could be on your thighs or your knees, and then we'll stay for an extra breath out. Give yourself time to rise all the way up to stand. And then from here, sometimes it's nice just to get a little more movement around the upper body, so you could reach your shoulders up towards your ears and then send them softly back and down. Maybe you add breath here, so you can inhale, lift the shoulders, and exhale, send them back and down. And it's not so much that it's forced when you bring your shoulders back and down, just like you're kind of dropping a heavy bag, letting your shoulders just hang out there. A couple more like that. And you can just go to your own pace, your own breath, your own time. From here you can stand in mountain. Maybe you even bring your palms forward. Your feet could be wide, like hips distance, or maybe you walk your feet in so your toes might touch, your knees might touch, and maybe your heels are a little bit apart. But just notice how that feels on your body, and maybe you adjust. You might even start to spread the fingers wide. We'll stay here for another moment. Just feel what you feel. Anything's accepted, anything's allowed here. Anything and everything. Okay. So we'll come into some movement with some sun breaths. If your shoulders are feeling sticky, you might choose to reach your arms straight forward and then up. If they're feeling okay today, you can bring your arms out to the sides and then up overhead. So either way, you get to choose. Arms rise up overhead, maybe your palms touch, and then hands could come down through the center of your heart space. Lower your arms down. Now you might just stay with the movement, either out to the sides and up and then down, or forward and up and then down. Or maybe you start to add breath. So as you inhale, arms rise. As you exhale, arms lower. And you might even start to be able to match your breath with your movement. So moving to your own pace. You might be going a little faster or a little slower than my pace, my breath. Maybe you need to just kind of cry for a moment. Maybe you need to lie down for a moment. Maybe you need to go grab that pillow and yell into it. So just doing what we gotta do, getting a little more movement, moving the energy around, moving your blood flow around. Okay. See if you could follow just 5 more. Still inhaling to rise, exhaling to lower. 3, 2, last one here. Nice, arms can lower down. Now if you like, you can shake it a little bit. Sometimes it's nice to kind of shake the hips from side to side and release some of the pressure that might have built up in the feet. Or you might even start to kind of bop your heels up and down. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot. I'm one of those people who have wobbly ankles, so I don't really go too high. But I feel like you can just start to bounce a little bit. Let your arms swing. Maybe you shake out your hands. If you find another movement that feels kind of more intuitive, do that. Maybe it's dancing if you have music on. Your eyes could be open or closed. It doesn't have to look good, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just move. Okay. All right. And then while you're doing this, if you're moving your arms or your legs or you're swaying, maybe you switch it up. See if you can do that for 5 more breaths. And then gradually slow down the movement. Bring yourself into stillness. Notice your feet on the ground. See if you can grow a little bit taller through the top of your head. And just take a breath. Feel what you feel. Let the breath go out. Nice. So from here, I'll invite you to come into a balancing posture. If you're working with balance today, sometimes it's nice to go by a wall and press your hand into a wall for support, or on a chair. Press into your right foot and then bend your opposite knee. You might have a little kickstand on the floor with your left toes in the floor and heel above opposite ankle. You might even find those arms like we did in mountain. If you feel really steady here, you want to bring your foot up higher onto your calf, go there. Or maybe you bring your foot up onto your thigh. And we'll stay here for 3 breaths, 3 moments. If you wobble, it's okay. Last breath. Hands can come down, bring your knee forward, plant your foot down. And then we'll switch to tree, second side. So press into your left foot, opposite knee bends, guide it out to the side. So you might make a little kickstand here with your toes on the ground, heel above opposite ankle. You might bring your foot up higher onto your calf or even onto your thigh. Choose your arms. They might be low, they might be medium, they might be up, one might even be on a wall. And you might even change your stance this time, so it could look a little bit differently. See if you can stay for 3 more breaths. Just do your best standing here. We're not expecting perfection. 1 more breath. Great. Slowly bring your hands down, knee forward, both feet plant. Maybe a little shake of the feet is nice, or shimmy of the hips, sway of the arms. Now if you like, you could come into standing swinging twist, so feet go a little wider. Let your arms dangle down. Pivot on your left toes and face towards the right. Then pivot on your right toes, face towards the left. And then if you like, you might even start to speed it up a little bit and let your arms go. Let them swing out. Just make sure you're not going to hit a wall or a chair or whatever. If you have long arms, you might even start to tap opposite hips. So arms could swing around. And just a couple more here. Start to slow it down. Bring it back to center until finally you find your feet walking in a little bit towards mountain. Get steady and strong in your feet. Tall through the top of your head. So just like a mountain. See if you could stay here for another breath. And a full exhale. From here, I'll invite you to make your way down towards the floor again. So this time we'll go on our backs. And just get down however you need to get down there. Once you're down here, you can bring your right ankle over your opposite knee for a little hip stretch. And if this feels pretty good, you can stay exactly as you are. Or if you want to bring this leg shape in closer, you could clasp behind your left knee. And then bring this leg shape in towards the chest. Go to a breathable and a kind stretch. So it doesn't have to be maximum stretch. Just go to where you feel something, but not too much. And then once you found the posture that works for you, see if you can notice 3 moments, or if you have some music on, maybe 3 sounds in the music, or 3 breaths. Nice. When you feel ready to come out, if your leg shape is up, you can soften your left foot down, uncross your leg, land your right foot down, and then switch sides. So you might even start to guide your left knee out to the side a little bit. You might even wake up your toes on the left side and pull them up towards the kneecap area. And again, you have that option, so you might keep your right foot down or bring your leg shape up a little bit closer. Go to a place where your hips feel happy, your lower back feels happy, and you can breathe easily. We'll stay here for 3 more moments, or maybe you count 3 more breaths. When you feel ready to come out, land your right foot down if it's up, then softly land your left foot down. From here, I'll invite you to come into a twist. So you might bring your knees over towards your right side. Your gaze could stay upright, or maybe turn out towards the left. Your knees might be stacked, or they might even be out wide and kind of staggered. And settle in here for just a couple more moments. Eventually make your way back up, so gaze can come back up, legs can come back up, and then maybe you just drop them softly over to your left side, so they could be stacked, or if it feels better on your low back to have your knees staggered, do that. Now I have more of a cactus arm here because my space is small, but if you have a space, your arms could reach out wide, and then choose your gaze. A couple more moments and just a couple more breaths in this shape. When you're ready to come out, bring your head back, your legs back, Now you can choose, you might stay here and swish your knees from side to side a few times, or you might choose to hug both knees in towards your chest. Sometimes it's nice to give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze, and maybe you even rock a little bit from side to side. From here, I'll invite you to set up for your relaxation posture. So that might mean that you feel comfortable laying on the floor. Your knees could be bent or out long. If you have a little pillow handy, you could put it under your head or under your knees. Now, if for some reason that feels like too much, if you feel more comfortable on your belly, go into something like crocodile from earlier. Or maybe you sit upright. Sometimes when I sit upright, I'll sit on something like a pillow. And if I'm feeling a little tired or need a little more support, I'll sit into a wall, so back into the wall. So you could rearrange yourself to where you feel the most supported, the most comfortable, and to a place where you don't have to work so hard, your muscles can soften a little bit. For this ending posture, I'll guide you through a meditation so you're not alone. I'm here with you. And sometimes I find that can be easier so that my mind doesn't kind of wander all over the place and bring me into that space where I started in. If you like, you can keep your eyes soft and open, or maybe you close your eyes all the way. And then start to notice where you feel the ground beneath you. And depending on where you are, that might be in a different spot than me, and that's fine. And starting with the feet, notice which parts of your feet are pressing down into the floor. Maybe the heels or the toes or even the edges of the feet. And feel the weight of the earth really grounding you down, pulling you down towards it, but preventing you from sinking down. So it has this surface that's holding you up as well. Then from here, you might like to start to notice your calves or your knees and the feeling of the earth holding you here, around the lower legs. And know that you can always skip any parts if you need to and go back to a place that feels better, like maybe your toes, or go on to the next area of your body. Now, if it feels all right, you can bring your attention to your thighs. Notice your upper legs and maybe even your hips on the ground. And then start to notice your abdomen, so your belly perhaps, or the sides of your waist, or maybe even the back. If you're sitting upright, you might not notice the direct feeling of the ground on your body, but you might still notice that gentle pull of the earth. And start to bring your attention towards your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your hands, and then softly bring your attention towards your neck, maybe your throat. Noticing your head here and your forehead, your eyes, your eyebrows. You might even sense your cheeks, your mouth, your chin, and even your ears and your nostrils. And then see if you can open your awareness to your whole body and most of the components of your whole body, or even your whole body here, all the parts together as a whole. And feel this wholeness of the body, complete. See if you can start to notice sound. Maybe you notice faraway sounds. You don't have to know what it is or identify what it is, but just notice a faraway sound. And then bring your attention a little bit closer, maybe someplace in this room. And then softly bring your attention a little bit closer. You might notice the sound of your heart, or maybe the soft sound of your breath. And then from here, you can start to wake up your body a little bit. So you might want to wiggle your fingers or your toes. Or it might feel natural to move your wrists or ankles, maybe your head and neck. And then start to add bigger joints, your arms, your legs, and any kind of intuitive movement is okay. Just becoming aware of the physical body and waking it up again. If you're laying on your back, you can start to roll over to one of your sides and support your head with your bottom arm or a pillow. If you're on your belly, you can start to press your hands into the floor and make your way up to a table. And then I'll invite you to find a seat, whatever seat feels comfortable for you today. So that could be cross-legged, that could be legs out long. Now if you like, you could bring your hands to the center of your heart and stack them on top of each other. And my wish for you today is that you could be free from suffering, that you're healthy and happy, and you could live the rest of your day and week and life with ease. Thank you for being here. Take care.